Hey there! Welcome back to the channel. So, yesterday I was kind of just hammering out things, and today is my last day off before going back to work for the week. So I want to get stuff done. In this video, we're working on welding everything together that's tacked. If you watched my last video, you saw I got the new Miller Multimatic 220 AC/DC. The thing's awesome, but I'm still learning it. I'm starting to weld in everything that's tacked in the frame here. As you can see, the transfer case is out because I'm focusing right now on the trans crossmember. And pretty much, if you can see here, I wanted to box in this bracket a little bit just to make it a little bit stronger. I did that side, but I didn't do this side yet. So I figured I'd show you guys how I'm doing this side. And then we're just gonna work our way up and start welding everything. I have this kind of bracket made that just kind of strengthens the whole thing. And I have a piece here, a piece here, a piece here. Ground these edges smooth and ground it flush with the frame. That way nothing sticks above it. Should be much, much stronger because that's all 1/4" steel. Here's a shot from the front. Not too bad. So we're moving over here. So I did the same process. I made a couple cardboard pieces so I could get my sizes right and as a template, and then I can pull the cardboard off and lay this out on some steel and trace out the pieces. So that's what I'm going to be working on now. But to show you why I wanted to do that versus leaving it just like that, as you can see, it's, I don't know, fairly weak-ish looking. If you watched the whole video when we built this trans cross member, you know that this was made out of a couple front control arms from a JL, and we had to kind of space it and angle it because of the angle of the frame. So that's what we're doing, and now I'm going to jump into getting the pieces cut for this, and we're going to start welding.
Broken heart. Somehow you bring me up. Broken heart.
Okay, I'll give you guys an update. So I got that side in here, boxed in and ground down just like the other side. But I don't know, something must have warped, or I don't even know. I checked it. I checked to make sure that the bolts were loose as I was tacking and welding, and everything was good. And then to do some of the other longer welds on the bracket, so the main piece that was part of the control arm that was the frame, I welded that all the way around with the bolt in loose, and I checked it afterwards and it was good. So then I made my new bracket with a brace around, tacked all that in, welded a couple spots, checked the bolt, it was good. So then the welds here that were really close to it, that I knew I just had to weld down, I didn't want it getting too hot and melting that bushing. So I pulled the whole cross member out, welded those, welded some of the outside and welded the top. I went to go bolt it back in, and now the bolt holes are off by like 1/8 to 1/4 inch, and now the bolts aren't loose. I mean, you can see I can still get it in there, but it's a pain in the butt getting the bolts lined up in the holes, and I don't know, I'm just getting frustrated with it because I took my time, I checked everything, and it's still messed up. Now I put the transfer case back in just to make sure that, like, I don't know, something didn't get moved left or right. And I'm still good on my measurement to 19 3/4 to the center of that yoke. So I don't know. That's an update for you guys. I wanted to get up to the motor mounts and start welding those in today, but this thing is just frustrating me. So yeah, I will be back with you guys once I figure out something here. All right, bye. Okay, I'm back, and we're gonna try to address that issue with those warping mounts today. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I try to keep my spirits a little high, but sometimes it's hard because things don't work out. I have it set up here. I just drilled that hole larger to see if it would be enough, but this is just confusing. Something is not working. So let me show you guys up close what I'm talking about. Okay. Here's this side. Awesome, cool, fantastic. I have it jacked up as if, let's say, the Jeep was together and I needed to drop the transmission. So I would drop my belly pan, put the jack here, jack it up where the bolts are loose, undo the bolts, pull the bolt right out. That's my plan, and then drop the thing. So I had the bolts loose when I was welding. The other side was lined up. Look at that. That's how this side is. I don't know what happened here. It's like this whole bracket just kind of warped up or something. It was lined up perfectly. I was able to have it jacked up here and have both those bolts move in and out freely. And something happened. Ugh. So instead of just messing with this, I'm going to cut this completely out of the frame on both sides, weld in a new section of frame here, which you guys are probably saying, holy crap, you don't have to do that, do this, but I'm going to have this done before you guys are watching this video, so I'm going to learn the hard way. And yeah, I'm going to cut all this out of the frame, get everything centered, and weld in a new section of frame there, and redo the mounts. Here we go. I always make more work for myself. I don't know why, but I'm gonna get into it. Ugh, I'm dirty. I got those mounts removed and I got the frame patched. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Let me show you guys here. Ugh. So you can barely tell where the frame, or where the other transmission, it was here. So yeah, you can barely tell that that's a brand new piece, and the frame was replaced. And then over here, this whole area again is the new piece. It was plenty strong. It just didn't work, didn't line up, and I wasn't 100% happy with it. So now that that's patched and cleaned up, I can go about making a new transmission mount, which I'm going to keep the cross member itself and only redo the frame mounts. So it shouldn't be too hard. Since this is solid mounted already, I have to make my new mounts, so that's already fixed. I might as well finish weld this bracket to the cross member itself. And my thinking is, just in case something moves, something warps, which it shouldn't, but we all know how that goes. So I'm gonna weld this up solid, and then we'll get it mounted up so we can find the location for our new frame-sided mounts. Okay, so if we're gonna get down in here. As you can see, jack stand supporting cross member. I have it fully welded up. Not the prettiest, but it's welded all the way around and solid. This should be exactly where I want it to sit. With the motor is offset 3/4 of an inch in the frame because that motor mount is longer than that motor mount. So I'm trying to keep the whole drivetrain centered in the frame. So I have this, I measured here all the way across. It comes to, can you see it? Just about 38.5. A little bit more. It's like a 1/16 more than 38.5, but so center of 38.5 is 19.25, but to compensate for the 3/4, I add 3/4, so center, I want it at 20. So if you can see there, 20 inches goes right to the center of this yoke. So with that, my drivetrain should be centered. The cross member is bolted in tight and supporting at the height that I want it. So from there, that's where I need it to be. Now I can start fabricating the brackets to come off on each side. So I just wanted to take a quick break here, show you guys the process and where I'm at and what my mind's thinking. We're almost there. Frame's patched, cross members welded, everything's centered. Now I can start. I spared you guys the long, tedious process of making the cardboard template, cutting it out of the metal, shaping it and everything. So here is what my new trans cross member mounts look like. So right here is the passenger side. They're still just loose, and I just have them kind of bolted in place just until I find the double check the measurements. But we'll come over to the driver's side here. And here's the driver's side. So all still loose, but 1/4 inch steel, and that should be plenty strong to hold the weight there. So as you can see here, I have a couple washers to kind of give it some room. Because again, I'm going to try to get it tight, but in case some things warp left and right, that's going to help. Plus, spacing this side out just a bit more, because when you drop this, it kind of comes forward. And as you can see here, I damaged the bushing when it was in the old mount because it swung forward and hit the bottom of the mount. So I'm hoping the spacing here will mitigate future issues there, but we'll see. As of right now, 1 and 2 mounts. And then once I get everything tacked in place, I'm going to take another piece of metal and kind of box it in just to clean it up and add just a little bit more strength. But as of right now, I'm pretty happy with how it's coming out. Then we can get these welded, get the motor mounts welded, and maybe get all this welded. Last night, battery died. Friends came over, kept working. I got the new mounts welded in. So I'm sorry to get any of that on film, but we're mounted up and we're good. We did some tests. The holes line up. I can take, once I get jacked up, get the weight off, the bolts, you can move freely. It'll swing down without hitting the mount. I'm so happy I decided to redo these. I just, again, wasn't 100% happy with the version 1. Version 2.0 good. So I'm gonna show you guys up close some of my ugly welds, and then to finish this off, I'm gonna get a piece here and kind of cap the top, just for added strength and to keep it from flexing and, you know, make it look pretty. Let me show you guys what it looks like here. Here's the welds. They're not the prettiest, but welded inside and out. My inside welds definitely need some work, but they're strong and no one will see it. Now I'm going to make, I already started making the driver's side, but I'm gonna make the passenger side cap to cap those off, and transmission mount will officially be done, which is exciting. This video is probably boring because it's just a lot of jumping around and welding things, but it's a video. I want to get in and weld some more. And shut up. All right.
Huh?
Alrighty, well that was a lot of welding, but I got the whole rear end in, the new transmission crossmember brackets, and the motor mounts all fully welded in, except the insides of the motor mounts. I'm gonna wait till I pull the engine again, and then I'll get in there where I can have a little bit more room and not be so crammed. But real quick, I want to show you guys some of my welds and the areas that I fully welded. Don't make fun of me, some of them are ugly. I'm still learning this new machine. So let's check out the rear and then we'll work our way up.
Somehow you bring me a broken heart.
I'm extremely happy I decided to redo my original design to these. I think it looks cleaner and it's stronger because it's all 1/4 inch steel.
Somehow you bring me a broken heart. Somehow you bring me a.
Yeah, that was the first time I had the welder cranked up that high on the heat, but I wanted to make sure that those motor mounts were burnt in really good because the V8's gonna have a little bit more torque and I don't want anything breaking. But I'm pretty happy and I'm pretty confident with those welds. So yeah, getting better. Definitely practice. I need a lot more practice, but the new welder is definitely worth it. All right, let's figure out what else I want to do now. So while we're here, I have the U-bolt eliminator kit finally to get rid of the ratchet straps that have been holding my rear axle in. But again, I don't want to set anything like pinion angle because I don't know it yet. I don't know with all the weight on. But what I want to do is get to what I think is close to the pinion angle and just lightly, very lightly tack the U-bolt eliminators in. This is what I had for a leaf spring perch while I was on the Jeep. Originally, this is what I was going to use. These are the Multimatic leaf spring perches. But when I ordered them, I didn't order the right tube diameter cut, so I just ended up clearancing it and notching it out more with the grinder so it would fit over the axle tube, which it's still not a good fit, perfect fit, but it worked. Although for mock-up, I didn't have U-bolts that would fit around this axle, so I ratchet strapped them in. And then I didn't have a U-bolt plate that was for the offset, so I just ended up drilling a hole. It was very thrown together quickly, but I was doing more research and trying to figure out what size U-bolts I needed for this axle because of the tube diameter. And in my research, I found that this JL M220, so this is the JL Rubicon rear axle, the new ones, and so it's the M220, it is the exact same tube diameter as a 14 bolt. So once I found that out, I went back to Multimatic and I got their U-bolt eliminator kit for the 14 bolt, and this fits over the axle tube perfectly because, again, same tube diameter as a 14 bolt. So now, with this, I don't have to worry about finding the proper U-bolts because it's a U-bolt eliminator. I'm pretty sure these are 7/8 grade 8 bolts, and I'll be able to just use regular bolts to bolt this in and not have to worry about sourcing the U-bolts. And as you can see here, versus there's a lot more surface area, and also it's a little bit longer, so that's going to also help with the anti-wrap of the leaves. And this also does have the multi-position for the center pin, so I can adjust the axle a little bit forward or back if I need to. And with the kit, it also came with the proper top plate that has the corresponding center pin location holes as well. So this is going to be just an overall better fit. It's a little bit wider on the axle, and then when I go for trussing this, I'm going to try to tie from spring perch to spring perch on this side and have a big, nice, solid truss across this, which will hopefully be plenty strong. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to try to get these mocked in place. Don't know if it's the right thing to do, but it's what makes sense in my head. So I don't have a plumb bob. So as you can see here, there's a piece of fishing line to a little lead weight, and then I just measured, and this should be the center line of my axle. So I measured from backing plate to backing plate, and it was 61.5. So what is that? 30 3/4? Is that, if the math's right? I think that's the math. So I marked my line, so that's my center line of my axle, and then this, my makeshift plumb bob comes up. So I measured outside of frame edge to outside of frame edge, got my center line, and then I measured inside and inside to get my center line there. So I have the very edge of my level centered with my mark to centered with my mark. So this level should be perfectly centered in the frame. And then from there, my fishing line comes off of that edge down to my makeshift plumb bob. And that, hypothetically, if my brain's thinking right, should be centered. So as you can see right there, my axle to where the plumb bob is off by that much. So what I'm going to do is shift the axle this way, get those lined up, and then line my new U-bolt eliminator perches up with the center pin on the leaves, drop down. Everything should be center. Makes sense to me. If I'm wrong, I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments. Stop. What do you guys think? That looks pretty good. So that should be center of the frame down to center of the axle. Use a piece of PVC here and try to hold it centered in there. So right now I'm this far below this guy. Now I will have to do a double card-on. So yeah, that's gonna be just because this is so straight out here and this is so far down here. The double card-on is going to give me that extra adjustment. But for now, excuse me, I'm going to just get it close to pointing at the transfer case. And then maybe just a little bit below it because the weight's going to sink that transfer case down. So kind of, this is very crude and makeshift, but gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, that's not horrible. I think if that comes down plus the double card on, that might not be a bad pinion angle. I'm gonna call that, I think that'll do. I'm gonna tack them in before I overthink it. Feel free to roast me in the comments for doing this all kind of like half-assed, but I'm using what I have. Hello. Thanks for helping. I'm pretty happy with the progress that I made. Got a lot done, I think. I mean, it might not have seemed like a lot, but it felt like a lot. Between getting everything welded in, redesigning those the transmission crossmember brackets, getting the U-bolt eliminator kit kind of mocked in, and just some other stuff I did off camera as well. So I feel productive, feel good, and I think this is a good place to stop the video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. You know, all the normal stuff I ask you guys to do. You don't have to do it, but if you want to, it helps me out. And you guys get to see more of this project. So before I close out here, I want to show you guys one little sneak peek on something. I got a delivery during this video process, and it's a super exciting part, we'll say. Big things. But go to the front of the Jeep here. I kind of have it mocked up. All right, one quick sneak peek. I'm gonna let you guys go for the night. But yeah, this will lead into some really awesome future videos. All right, here it is. Oh yeah. It's my steering. So right there, if you guys want to see how that works in a future video, definitely not the next video, but in a future video, make sure to stay tuned. All right, you guys have a good night. See ya.